whether it's a cheap wig or just cheap looking hair. And I'm really happy to have two of my staffers here. Tammy's been mentioned, Tammy Ward, and Dale Williamson's been mentioned as well. Dale worked for me in the governor's office, as did Tammy, and it's been wonderful having them on our team these past 12 years as well. And Maxine, thank you so much for your commitment to rural and economic development across this state. Over these past 20 years, in one capacity or another, you have done an outstanding job delivering what is important to the people of this great state. It's an amazing record, and I just simply want to tell you how much I appreciate your commitment to it in our administration and since then. Thank you so very much. Let's thank Maxine again. I think somebody might have said, but I don't know that I ever heard it, that it would be a cold day when Geneva got a new hospital. Well, it isn't quite so cold, but it is windy. But this is a project that I'm personally very proud to have been able to help along with the funding, because it's good for the health and the wealth of the people in southeast Nebraska, here in this part of the state. Health is a given. We understand the health care of the people in this county and this area will be met. When you get a new hospital, it's good for the health of everyone it serves. But I also include wealth, because hospitals are historically good for the economy. The hospital cost $18.5 million to construct, with funding provided by a bond issue that's been referred to, the Fillmore County Hospital, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, better known as the stimulus. That's right, often criticized, very unfairly criticized. I might add that stimulus helped this funding. And working with Maxine, the Fillmore County Hospital, a $12.6 million community facility loan through the Stimulus Act, this hospital received a 40-year loan at just 4% interest. Now, not every stimulus project around the country worked out as well as hoped, and some worked out better than expected, and some, just like this one, worked out just right. For the most part, the stimulus bill put people to work for the past 2 years building this hospital, and it'll continue putting people to work in the future, taking care of the health of the people of Geneva and those in the surrounding communities. Moreover, the hospital will continue contributing to the economic well-being of the area, because that's what hospitals do. Mary Wakefield, head of the Health Resources and Services Administration, once made an astute observation when she testified before a Senate committee. She said that rural communities that have good access to health care, like Geneva and this surrounding area, can survive and grow. On the other hand, she said, communities that do not have good access to health care lose their ability to prosper. She said that every health care dollar spent locally recycles through the local economy 1.5 times. Health care provides 10 to 15% of the jobs in many rural counties. And when the secondary benefits of those jobs are included, health care accounts for 15 to 20% of all jobs in the area. When industry and business consider location, health services is often one of the most important quality of life factors that influences their choice. Now, this is a great project that will help assure the physical and economic health of Fillmore County and surrounding areas for generations to come. That means more jobs being created here, which is exactly what the doctor ordered for this weak economy. And you know how the old expression goes, if you have your health, you have everything. If you lose your health, you lose everything. So thanks to all those who helped make this happen, those who had the vision to pursue this expansion. Geneva and surrounding communities will have everything for years and years to come. I'm particularly glad that you invited me here today. It's a very special project and a very special day for me. Projects like this don't just happen. They require a great deal of work from the local citizens, as has been indicated to date, and a partnership with government as well. That partnership with communities all across Nebraska is one of the things that I've enjoyed most as your senator and before as your governor. When you see a completed project like this and you realize what it means for the people in this area, you know the work was well worth it. Without the economy, without this economy, it would have been much worse than it was. The recovery delayed longer. You remember back in 2008 and early 2009, we were losing more jobs each month. Our economy was in a free fall. We were on the brink of a second Great Depression. One of the things that was important was to do what you thought was right. I did it for the people who receive health care here for generations to come, many who will be served by this wonderful hospital. I did it for the people who will work here and for the spin-off jobs that will benefit Nebraska's economy. And I'll say this, when I look at this building, and I have toured on the inside ever so briefly, it looks to me like you got your money's worth. It looks to me like you did very, very well. Beautiful hospital with more than will serve the area for generations to come. And I'm reminded as I close today that the shortest term ever served by a president was the president with the longest inauguration speech. He lasted 31 days after his speech that took 3.5 hours to deliver. With that, I thank you all. May God bless you. May God bless our men and women in uniform and the United States of America. Thank you.
Senator Nelson, thanks so much for coming out here and sharing your time with us. And also for livening things up a little bit, because the nerves are going away now. The next person I'd like to introduce is a person that I've known all my life. He tried to keep me in Boy Scouts, but I wasn't meant to be. His name is Hugh Wilkins. And Hugh's father, Earl, he served on the committee in 1948 when they knew they were going to have a problem with the hospital. He was one of the guys that tried to get that bond issue to pass the first time, the second time, and the third time. That was Hugh's father. If you look up integrity in the dictionary, you'll see Hugh's picture. I think he is a man of integrity, and I've respected him all of my life, and he will be giving a dedicatory address. Hugh?
Well, I hope my remarks will be brief because I know you're tired of sitting. I respect all the people that have had stand up for this ceremony. I would like to remark very briefly about the connection between dreams and actuality. Now, this hospital actuality cost around $18 or $19 million. At present land values, if you value land at $6,000 an acre, a quarter section of land is worth roughly $1 million. And the value in land of $18 million, just imagine piling 18 irrigated quarter sections on top of each other. That's a big investment that we have made to build this hospital. I think it's rather amazing. Also, I want to point out the connection between dreams and actuality. I just told you how big this reality is. I want to give you my ideas very briefly and how this dream came to be, which resulted in this fine hospital. I go clear back to the way I reason things to Dr. John Jacobson when he decided he was 34 years old. He would leave the profession of banking and go to medical school. That was a big decision, but eventually it helped get us this hospital, indirectly anyhow. Then also, after he graduated from medical school, he decided to locate in Fillmore County. And that was another step in getting his hospital, although seemed to be indirectly connected. Finally, Dr. Jacobson's brother-in-law, Paul Utemark, decided to apply for the job of hospital administrator. And the board of directors of the county hospital decided to employ Paul Utemark, even though he had no experience as a hospital administrator. So those various decisions, in my mind, got us to the point where Paul Utemark could have a great dream. So we have a great actuality in this building that comes from a great dream that Paul Utemark not only had, but which he pushed, and which resulted in the voters deciding to help finance this hospital. Now, I would like to dedicate this hospital to several groups. The first group, and many of you are here, are the hundreds of people in Fillmore County who voted to approve the bond issue, but that was just part of the financing. The next group we need to recognize, and the governor and senators alluded to it, is people in the United States Department of Agriculture who decided among the 93 counties in Nebraska that Fillmore County qualified to receive help through a long-term, low-interest loan to finish the financing of this great hospital building. I also wish to dedicate this hospital to the people that work for the hospital staff. They're a great team. They work harmoniously together. Ask them what harmonious means, but they really are working harmoniously and have done a wonderful job under the leadership of Paul Utemark to make efficient use of the old building. I'm sure they will make the best and wisest use of this new building. Then also we need to dedicate this hospital to the thousands of people in the next few years who will walk into the doors of the hospital sick and injured and in need of therapeutic services which they can receive at this hospital. And finally, I would like to dedicate it to people in the future who will dream great dreams on ways to help all the people in this great world of ours have better health and longer life and a happy life. Finally, we dedicate this hospital in memory of Jesus, who was the master healer. And we have hope that through some of these teachings, we can repent of our many sins, which we all have sins. I think the Catholics or somebody said there were 7 deadly sins. I remember them alphabetically: anger, envy, gluttony, greed, lust, and pride, and sloth. And if we can stop being as gluttonous as many of us are, and stop being angry and fighting each other, well, we can have a great and future life here in Fillmore County and around the world.
Thank you, Hugh. At this point in time, Dr. Jacobson will be presenting a remembrance of Dr. Charles Ashby. I think everybody here has fond memories of any interaction you had with Dr. Charles. I'm going to talk about a historian of this county. Charles could tell you who was related to who 5 generations back. In fact, Charles and I used to have competitions on trying to remember who was related to who. And Charles usually was correct. I had to look it up in our records. Dr. Jacobson, would you come forward now?
Thank you, PR. When Mr. Utemark asked me to talk about Dr. Charles, one of the first things that I thought about was kind of putting into a sequence of things that happened when I decided to come to Geneva, or wanted to come to Geneva and practice medicine. I also thought, you're talking about a local boy, a kid who grew up in Fairmont, who had ties to medicine in Fillmore County, kind of a local icon, a medical icon. I mean, you go anywhere in the state of Nebraska. I'm now on the board of directors at the Nebraska Academy of Family Physicians, and you mentioned Charles Ashby, and everybody says, oh yeah, I know him. I remember him. They always talk about his pipe. So with those kind of things, I want to kind of correlate and hopefully put a timeline together here.